Hello and welcome back to another episode of Best Bets. What is going on? I am Matt O'Leary, joined as always by Newsday's NFL pick columnist Joe Manniello. Joe, how are you?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Coming off a 4-1-1 week for me, so sitting at 36-26-2, 3-3, 500 for you for 24-38-2, heading into.
What was the push for you?
My push was the Eagles -3.
Oh, right.
Yep. So, unfortunately, no extra points in overtime.
Yeah,
Otherwise,
they were lucky to win that game.
They were. They absolutely were lucky to win
Not lucky,
that one.
but yeah.
So,
Not lucky, but you know what I mean, to cover it with.
to cover that one, that is for sure. So let's hop into this. No Giants, so we'll do the Jets as the local game of the week, and then a bonus pick at the end. The Falcons come to town to take on the New York Jets, and the Falcons are 2.5-point favorites at MetLife Stadium. What's your feel for this one?
I mean, this is the kind of week where I think the Jets could actually win this game. But the Falcons, you know, they're not really good enough to be a road favorite. The funny thing is they're 5-6, and they're in first place, and the Jets are 4-7, and they have less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. So it just shows you how different life can be in the NFL. Only one win separates these teams. I think the Falcons overall the better team. They have the Bijan Robinson, who I think will give the Jets defense some problems. But I just can't. I've been wrong on the Jets all year. When I pick them, they give up a 99-yard pick six on Black Friday.
Yep.
On a Hail Mary. And when I pick against them, they beat the Eagles and almost beat the Chiefs. So I'm picking the Falcons here, but I'm guaranteeing the Jets are going to win. So it's almost like I can't lose with this bet. But I'll take the Falcons. I just can't trust Tim Boyle and the Jets offense. But this would be the perfect time for the Jets too. And as we're talking, there's an airplane flying over my house. So I know the Jets are going to win now. It's a sign. It happened before, actually. I don't know if it worked out. But, you know, Rodgers coming back. Maybe they'll rally around the whole idea that, you know, if they win a couple games and they'll play. I can totally see that scenario, but I don't know. The Jets team just looks lifeless. Not lifeless, listless, and just you know, even taking a toll on, you know, Bruce Hall and Garrett Wilson, the defense. It's just, I don't know. That loss to the Dolphins is so bad, and I just feel like the Falcons are the kind of team that they win these gritty games, and Koo always makes these late kicks to win the game. He's one of the most accurate kickers of all time. So I think they'll win like a 16-13 kind of game, 19-16 on a late kick by Koo. So I'll take the Falcons. I'm happy that it's 2.5 instead of 3.
Yep.
Or 3.5. So I'll lay the 2.5, but I will not be surprised one bit if the Jets win this game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here. I'm going to take the Falcons as well. Not that I think Atlanta is really this great team. This is more of an anti-Jets pick right now. They really have to prove it to me on offense before I start, you know, buying into them, even picking them against the spread here. You know, they've scored 13 points or less in 5 straight games. This offense is just so bad, and Tim Boyle really doesn't give you any confidence at all. Not that Zach Wilson was some great quarterback either, but with Boyle, he's made 4 career starts. He's had turnover in every single start. He's had 2+ interceptions in 3 of the 4 starts. He had 2 interceptions against the Dolphins. I think we're going to see something similar this week where Atlanta is able to turn him over a couple times. I think the Jets defense probably turns over Desmond Ridder a time or two as well, and it's a defensive back and forth battle, but I have it like 16-10 Falcons, somewhere around those lines. I don't think either team reaches 20 points, but the Falcons do have some playmakers on the offensive side of the ball. 3 young guys, and Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London, and you know, I don't know if Arthur Smith always does the best job of getting the ball in those playmakers' hands, but they do have ways where they could beat a good defense, and I think Bijan on the ground is probably the key to this game for Atlanta against this Jets defense. And again, I have no faith offensively in this Jets team right now until they prove otherwise. But you're right, like this, theoretically on paper, the Jets probably should win this game, but I just don't have the confidence to pick it right now.
Okay.
So let's go to our game of the week. Should be a good one. It's San Francisco on the road in Philadelphia, just like the NFC Championship game last year. San Francisco's 2.5-point favorites in this one. What's your feel?
Yeah, San Fran is actually my best bet of the week, but can't do that for this one because it's game of the week. But I love the 49ers. I mean, it's such a kind of a weird season for them. They started 5-0, and they lost those 3 games in a row, which I think might, in hindsight, might be a good thing for a team like that because you know, everyone was talking about how great they were, and including myself. And they went into the bye, and they came out and they crushed Jacksonville. They beat Tampa Bay. and last week they crushed Seattle. I just feel like they're the most complete team in the NFL, and Brock Purdy, no more. You don't have to worry about him anymore. He's definitely a starting quarterback in the NFL. No more Mr. Relevant talk. I feel like there's a lot of revenge angles here too. Last year, the championship game, he only played one couple series and got hurt.
Yep.
And that wasn't really a fair match. I still think the Eagles would have won that game, but would have been much closer. So I think you got that whole angle there for the 49ers. I also think it's a rest situation here. I mean, maybe I put too much stock into that, but the 49ers played Thanksgiving night, so they had basically 2.5 days extra rest. And the Eagles just played basically a fifth quarter against the Bills, overtime game in the rain. Jalen Hurts looks a little bit banged up. I give the Eagles credit, man. They're 10-1. They've had only lost to the Jets, which is hard to believe. But they've been squeaking these games out. I still don't know how they beat Kansas City on Monday night 2 weeks ago. Last week they were down 14 against the Bills, I think, in the third quarter. Give them credit for finding a way, but after a while, sometimes that luck kind of runs out. I just feel like you can't get behind against the 49ers. The defensive line, I mean, every level of the defense and the way the offense is playing right now, I just think they're the most complete team. I think it'll be a good game. The Eagles are not going to get blown out at home, of course. I think it'll be a close game, but I like the Niners to win, 27-23, something like that, 3-4 point win. I just think they got too much going for them right now. And if they win, they're 9-3, Eagles are 10-2. And I picked the Niners to win out like they did last year. So if they get to 14-3, I think they'll get home field. I think the Eagles will lose at least 2 more times.
Yeah, I'm with you on this one too. I'm going to take San Fran here, and a big reason for that is something you mentioned, the revenge factor. They lost in the NFC Championship game, and they were down. They didn't have a quarterback. They were basically playing the game without a quarterback. That's a big factor, and also. I know he's going to try to play. Lane Johnson's the offensive tackle on the Eagles is going to try to play, but coming off the injury, I think a banged up offensive line going up against an elite defensive line like that could be a little bit of an issue. And we said it. The Philadelphia, they find a way. They win these games. They never die. They come back. All these things, but. One of these times they're going to get got, and I think this is a week where that could absolutely happen, where San Francisco, their defensive line and their pass rush is how they win defensively. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think they're just going to try to get Christian McCaffrey going, running the football a lot against that Eagles defense. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a good one, but another one where I'm happy about the line being 2.5 points. If it was up over 3, maybe I'd consider going the other way, but I think the 49ers win by a field goal, 4 points, something like that, 27-23, something like that, I'll call it.
That's like that.
There we go. See, bad on me for missing that. But yes, on a similar page there where it's going to be a tight game, 3 or 4 point game. All right, best bets. This normally never happens, but let's do it. Who's your best bet this week?
Well, normally, I said it was San Francisco, and my second best bet is Dallas, but they're playing Thursday night. And we're not going to post it until after the game. But I don't like a lot of games this week. I'm going to go with the 3 teams from last Thanksgiving. I'll go with Detroit as my best bet, and then you're going to take them too. This is more about just like I still believe in them kind of pick. They were my pick before the year to make the Super Bowl. And, they had a couple back-to-back bad games at home. They beat the Bears even though they were down the whole game. And I was so shocked that they lost to the Packers. Not even that they lost, just the way they lost. Like, the Packers just totally outplayed them. That's so surprising to me. I thought the Lions, the resurgence is like complete in the Dan Campbell. I thought this would be like their homecoming party. Thanksgiving, I thought they'd score 40 points and high 30s and just win that game easily. That was shocking to me, but I'm not going to jump off the bandwagon. I think they're still a complete team. Have some issues on defense, obviously, but going up against the Saints have a good defense, but they're a weird team. They lost to the Falcons last week. I thought they were going to win that game, take control of the division, and I just don't trust them. So I think 4.5 is a big number on the road, but I think this is like a statement game for Detroit. I think this is like, hey, we're still here, and I think they win by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm taking Detroit as well. Usually we like to give you different plays, but not a ton of games that either of us loved. But Detroit, they are obviously, they haven't looked great the last few weeks, but the New Orleans Saints, they played 11 games and they've scored 20 points or less in 7 of those 11 games. Offensively, they're just not good enough, and Derek Carr has struggled in his first year in New Orleans. But if there's one thing about this Lions team, we know that they could put up points. They put up only 22 in their loss against Green Bay, but before that, 31 in their storm-back win, and then 41 in a wild shootout game against the Chargers. I think even against a tough Saints defense, I still think they're going to score in the high 20s at least. And I just don't see a world where the Saints offense is going to be able to score enough to keep it within 5 points. I think they win by 7 points a touchdown. I know it's a road game, and sometimes it's teams play a little weird on the road, and they've looked better at home, but it's still a dome team. Like a dome team going to another dome. I don't know. I sometimes put some stock into that versus if they were going out to play in the elements at this time of year. I think they should win this one 27-17, somewhere in that range, 30-17. I don't think the Saints keep pace with them. How about an underdog pick?
Again, don't like many games this week. I'm going to take a shot with a team here that I don't like. I think it's the worst team in the NFL. But I'm going to take it because I think the spread might be a little too high, and because of the circumstances. So Carolina Panthers plus 5.5, I think it is.
Yep.
At Tampa Bay. So I'm just going to go with the whole logic that, hey, they just fired the coach. We got a raw deal. He wanted CJ Stroud, supposedly. The owner wanted Bryce Young, and now Bryce Young isn't playing well, and the coach gets fired. But, it's not fair. But you've seen it the last couple of years, the Raiders with Antonio Pierce, the Colts with Jeff Saturday last year. I can just see the Panthers showing up here. And the Bucs, to me, I don't think they're an average team at best. So I don't know if they should be favored by almost a touchdown. It's a division game. It's being like a sloppy, ugly kind of 16-13, 19-16 kind of game. So I think the Panthers will get fired up if the coach got fired. So I'll take the 5.5.
Yeah, interesting to see how they respond with everything that went on this week. That is a big number. I don't really have a strong feel in that game, to be honest with you, but I could hear a case for it. As for my underdog pick, I'm going to go with a hot team right now, the Broncos, plus 3.5. Yep, against the Texans. I like Houston a lot, but they've kind of stumbled a little bit. Obviously, really talented, fun, young team with CJ Stroud. You're just talking about how the Panthers passed on CJ Stroud, and that's biting them a little bit. But they've only put up 21 points each of the last 2 weeks. And Denver, their defense has been playing really well recently. They've allowed 22 points to Buffalo, 20 to Minnesota, and then 12 to Cleveland. I think this is going to be a tight, low-scoring game. I think it's a field goal game either way, so the Broncos could win it, but even if they don't, I think they will have enough to cover, like a 23-20 kind of game. And they've been scoring a little bit. I mean, put up 29 against a really good Cleveland defense. They put up 24 against the Buffalo Bills. So, I think they might be able to make some noise here and keep this win streak alive. They've won, 5 games in a row. I think they have a good chance to make it 6, but even if they don't, I think it's a field goal game. So I love that I'm getting the hook as well on the 3.5. So I'm going to go with the Broncos as my underdog pick here.
Yep.
How about a bonus? What's one final one we'll toss out there?
Again, theme of the week. I don't like too many games, so I had to look over and over again. I'll go with Frank Reich's old team here, the Colts. This to me is more of I'm just going to pick the better team play because I always get this. I feel like I always get this matchup wrong. The first game I picked they played early in the year, week 5. I picked the Titans on the road. The Colts won by 7. And usually when that happens, I usually overthink it or talk myself into, taking the other team the second time. So Titans are, I'm pretty sure they're 4-0 at home. Yeah, and they have one on the road, and they lost in London. So they're 4-0 at home. I think they're probably the right pick in this game because they're unbeaten at home. Vrabel is underdog. But I'm just going to go with the simple play here and go with the better team. I think the Colts are the better team. 6-5, surprising. Right now they're actually in the wild card. If the playoffs started today, they'd be the 7th seed. So I think they have a lot more to play for. Shane Steichen's done a great job in his first year. I can see them, I can see him rallying the troops around that. We win this game, we're 7-5, and we're right there in the thick of the wild card race. So I'm just going to go with that logic there and go with the better team. Doesn't always happen, but it's only 1.5, so the spread's probably not going to matter. Watch them win by 1, but my luck. But I'll take the Colts, with the horseshoe.
There we go. I like it. I'm going to take the Jaguars minus 8.5. It's a big number, and that scares me a little bit going up against the Bengals. But unfortunately for the Bengals, without Joe Burrow, we've seen their offense struggle. They put up just 10 points against Pittsburgh. Jacksonville, I think, is hitting their stride a little bit here. They're a team that it took me a little bit to buy in, but they've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of their last 8 games. They started 2-2. They started really 1-2, and now they're sitting at 8-3. Big win over the Houston Texans this past week, 24-21. But I think if they score in the upper 20s, that should be enough to cover this number. I I don't know if Cincinnati really has much of a chance. I know their defense held Pittsburgh to 16 points, but that offense is just absolutely abysmal in Pittsburgh. And Jacksonville, I think, is going to be able to have enough with Trevor Lawrence to put up some offensive output. So I'll say like a 30-17 kind of game. Maybe it's close in the first half, and then Jacksonville pulls away. Slightly big number, but I think Jacksonville, they're playing their best football right now, and I think they just continue to roll. All right, let's take a look at some of these picks again real quick before we get out of here. Falcons and Jets, both Joe and I on the Falcons -2.5. Game of the week, San Fran and the Philadelphia Eagles, both taking San Francisco -2.5. Lions are both of our best bets, -4.5 over the Saints. I'm taking the Broncos +3.5, and Joe is taking the Panthers +5.5 for underdog picks. And bonus, you just heard, Colts -1.5 for Joe, and Jags -8.5 over the Bengals. Joe, I appreciate you joining me as always. Good luck this week.
All right, man. Thank you.